morning, guys. Good morning once again. So I have I'm just getting ready to leave the house. I have a video. I did part of it already, so you will see in this video where I went to this real famous place, and I won't give her too much. I want you to watch the video, and you know, I just go there unaware, and I was very welcome, and I get a chance to share this like a history about this area in High Wycombe. So I want you guys to really watch this video and enjoy it with me, and watch it to the end, guys. Watch it to the end and enjoy the video. If you have comment or question about this, kindly ask in the comment section, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. So enjoy this video. Let's watch it together. I'm going to try and publish as soon as possible. I'm working on it, as I even made this small clip of introduction. But yes, please enjoy this video. And as I always say, guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're here, most of I check even just now, I get my monthly report. Most of my viewers is new viewers. It's just like 5% of my subscribers coming back to watch. Well, that's a lot, but most of I have like 92% of the view I'm getting now is always new viewers watching, and they're only watching the latest video that is either live or video that I put up. That's what is there. I really, you know, it's winter now, it's a bit cold than before, so I will try my best to continue to make as many videos as I can. I will do some live also. But guys, if you are joining me for the first time, kindly subscribe to the channel. If you like this kind of content, please leave it in the comment. Let's grow together. Let's grow together to 10,000k. I'm at 5+, so let's go to 10,000k. Really appreciate the support, and always remember to hit the notification bell and hit the like and to subscribe. So join me in this clip, guys. Enjoy it, watch it to the end, and give me a feedback what you think about it. Bless.
Turner, I'm on the register of professional turners, so they encourage us to teach, to pass on our skill.
Okay.
But I've made chairs, but
Yes.
I'm not a chair maker. The chair making museum, sort of 10 years ago, we bought this place, and I asked if we could have the museum here. It was nothing to do with me before. But it had been the other museum had been shut for 3 years in Kitchener Road. So the heritage people came down. They looked around and said, "Yeah,
this is a perfect fit."
On. So it complements what I do, because I do wood turning. Then that's
so you are specialized in wood turning, not really the bench making.
So all this down here is all the work still in progress. All the finished work is upstairs in the art gallery. So some of this needs to go back on the lathe, some just needs polishing and then go up top.
And then these would be...
I do carving as well as... Well, I sell the blanks to other wood turners. And when I'm teaching, I use dry wood, but normally I turn wet green wood. I buy whole trees, and the big lathe at the bottom turns 2.4 meters, the big one at the end. Wow. I'll show you.
Yes, please. Yes. This is exciting, actually.
This is the lathe there.
The big machine.
If you take that off, you can turn this size.
Wow.
And if you take that bit off as well, just leaving that, then you can turn from the floor to here twice. So there's your there's your 2.4 meter diameter.
This can do that.
So big lathe, 2.4 meters that will turn.
I see you have a chisel. What you call this?
They're hand ads. You use those for shaping. Wood, like the bodgers use the big ones. the lot which I'll show you if you come in the museum.
Right. Is this more like a chisel then? This one?
That's a gouge.
Oh, gouge.
That's a roughing gouge. This is for roughing out balls.
Okay.
This here.
Yes.
Normally you put this in, if you've got a piece of wood there, you pull the inside out.
Right.
If you've got a big one,
yes,
you put this on there and use that as a fulcrum.
Okay.
So feel the weight of that, give you...
No, this is good for in the gym.
When you've been using that
for a while, it's good gym, yeah?
You go home and you sit down and get up.
So that would be like a log there, a big log where you could have shape.
Yeah.
Oh, you call it a holocone, yeah?
Well, if it's big,
yes.
If it's a bowl or whatever, you put on and you hollow it out. So
yes.
You use this for roughing to get rid of the bark and whatever.
Yes, the rough part, yes.
Yeah, and then you use gouges and whatever from there. So.
Wow, this is so much, huh? And I see you have...
That's a Gothic chair. I bought two from Norfolk. One was damaged and the other one, he put a lot of muck on it, varnish, so I'm cleaning them up.
To repair it?
Yeah.
Do they have one of this in Bonin? Because I saw a place in Bonin that do, not maybe chair, but they do some form of carving or something like that. You know of it?
I don't know, no, I mean, quite possibly.
Yeah. I always pass a place that they do some form of training also.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact name now, but it looked like something similar to this. But this is so much, and you do teach lessons here, you said?
I teach, yeah.
How you go about that?
Not so much now, because the problem being is I'm normally here on my own.
Okay.
The man who used to come when I was teaching, because you can't say, wait there while I showed people around.
Okay, that's true.
So the man that used to come and help,
yes,
and he would show people around the art gallery upstairs or the museum while I'm teaching, he's moved down to the West Country. So the problem now is I have to rely upon my wife. So if one of my students phones up or somebody says, I need some lessons, I've got to find out what day she can come here so that I can teach them, you know.
So it's a bit harder for you now.
It's harder for me now because, you know, as I say, you need somebody here. You can't do both things at once.
So are you saying you need a volunteer worker or you need a worker?
Well, yeah, I've done all of that.
Yes.
I mean, I used to have apprentices years ago.
Wow, that would be nice.
Not anymore. I mean, volunteers, there's a problem with that, is if you get a volunteer in, they quickly learn about the museum and the art gallery.
Right.
But the problem being that they phone up and say, it depends. If somebody says I do 2 days a week, then you organise somebody for the other days or not. Yes. And then they phone up to say, I can't come in this week, I'm on holiday.
That's true.
And you've got people booked, so you have to phone around and cancel.
Yes.
And if you've got 3 people, say doing a day each, you will not believe the problems that can cause. You actually get to the stage where you need somebody full-time phoning up the people to see whether...
So it worked out to be a harder work for you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, you know, as I'm looking on this, when I was growing up, there's a thing that they make and they call it gig. I don't know if you know it. So the gig is similar to this.
Yeah.
This is looking almost like the gig without this part of this. So this part will cut off.
Yeah.
They have a point, you put a nail in it.
Yeah.
Then you have a cord that you wind up all around.
Yeah.
And when you let it go.
Yeah.
Then it will not on this material. You put it on dirt.
Yeah.
Then it will really spin
like a spinning top.
Yes. So we call it a gig at that time. So I know everybody have different name.
Yeah.
So you know of it.
Yeah.
And actually, when we were young as boys, you know, who have the best gig, will win the game because the gig can actually burst the other person one. So it was a game, not a harsh game, but
you know, we Not so much now, but
Yes.
as kids we called them top spinning.
Top
tops.
spinning, yes.
You get a lot of wood turners that are amateur turners.
Yes.
Fine. They've got a small lathe,
Yes.
and they can only make small stuff because the lathe will only take small.
Right.
So they make pens, or they make bracelets, or they make spinning tops.
Yes.
I was in. I don't even think I've got one laying around.
That
but
does bring back fun to me just now.
Yeah, no. Their handles.
It's the same shape as the one
Yeah.
I show you, and the same size actually.
Yeah.
But do they put the nail when you cut spinning stuff?
On it, yeah.
Right. And do they use the card to, because the card we use and we have it like this. So when you wind it all up till you reach to the last point, so you have like a thing that you hold like this, the card. Then when you release it, you give it that heap of spin and spin for long. So who can spin the longest would win.
Yeah.
So it was a game, you know.
I was in Middlesex Wood Turners. It's a wood turning association, a club.
Yes.
I was a member there for 15 years. The problem was I could never get there because when you go home from work, you have your dinner, and by the time you've got there, they've sort of already started. So I must admit, I didn't go a lot
into that.
But they had what they call, instead of having somebody like me, a professional turner, in to demonstrate certain months of the year, they would have a club evening where they get some lathes out, and then people ask questions, how do I do this, how do I do that, and other more experienced ones would say so and so. So what they used to do was say, next meeting we're going to turn spinning tops, and all the guys, and it was only 4 or 5 lathes, and they'd all stand there and turn a top each, and then they would see, as you said, who made the best one.
Yes, it's true.
But so that was a long time ago.
But that was real fun compared to what they call fun now. But that was real fun, and the thing is, if just as what you were saying, if you make it good, it spin longer, because if you don't shape it properly, it go down quick on the side. So you have to be exact. That was fun. That was real fun.
Good fun.
Yeah, man, there's so much to learn. And you do sell these hangers here. I see, like these are chisels.
Turning tools.
You know, I give you a little one more of when I was about teenager, So I wanted to do a trade, but for me, I never know exactly what I want.
Right.
You know, young lad coming up, you don't really know what you want as yet. But I want to do a trade. So my option was auto mechanic, maybe electrician, or cabinet maker. So eventually I agreed to try it out. So with those machines that you show me, not so big, smaller machine, because it's to make, you know, cabinet, bed, all these things. I think I did 2 months, the most.
Right.
But there was something I couldn't go on.
Right.
I don't know why. I think it's a skill and it's good to learn, but I think it was more like the dust. Not everybody can deal with the dust. I think for me it was the dust, because the fun I have is when the machine is on. I love it. I love it. But I think at that time, I think now it will be different. But at that time was the dust killing me. Okay, guys. So we have so much experience, so much things. So he's a professional. That's what he do. He have a lot of work here to display, and my first time coming here. Look at this clock made out of wood. Wow, look at that.
Okay.
Look at that. All of this.
Oh, well, that's good, but it's probably the valve, and I blew it up and put more air into it.
Wow.
And
I don't know what they call this. Not sure what they call that. And they have the chairs, everything here.
Okay, I've got to go because I've got somebody here.
Yeah, these are all chairs that make. Okay. Yes. So let's.
Yes. A flat tire. And it's been into. You can't find anything wrong with it, which is bad news because
no, that's not
tomorrow
good.
It could be flat again.
Yeah, that's not good. They have to remove it if that's the case. Okay, let's go on, sir. Yes, let's go on.
How are you for time?
I have time.
Yeah.
I have stuff to do, but I have time.
Roughly?
Let's say half an hour is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to know because it normally takes a bit longer than that.
Yeah.
But if I know it's half an hour, then I'll make it half an hour.
Yeah. Half an hour is good for me.
I'm going to explain everything to you about chair making
Yes.
and the history.
Yes.
I will give you dates and demonstrate on the shape holes of the ladies,
Yes.
talk about tools, explain the different types of chairs. So we'll start with the bodgers and we'll go on. If you get any questions, just ask me.
Yes, I will.
Because if you don't, it might be the one thing I don't tell you. So,
Okay.
so even if I say we'll get to that bit later.
Yes, I will ask you. Yes.
So we're going to start with the bodgers, the guys that make the round parts to a chair.
All right.
Let me just show you two lines. In 1875, we made 4,700 chairs per day.
Wow.
So that's a lot of chairs.
Can I ask a quick question, yeah? Because I was doing a little research. Did they say that High Wycombe was known for this type of things back in the days?
I will explain everything.
Yes, good.
Let me answer that before we start.
Yes.
We had more beech and elm trees in Buckinghamshire, more than any other county in the country.
Wow.
So this is why we became the hub for chair making.
Wow.
So I will tell you more as we go on.
Yes.
Okay, so the bodgers in the wood make the round parts to a chair, the legs, the stretchers that go between the legs.
Right.
There were a couple of jobs they did as well, but they were, we'll come to those.
Yes.
But essentially they make round parts.
Right.
Okay, what I didn't tell you when I showed you the 4,700 chairs a day, there wasn't just Wycombe.
Per day, you said?
Per day. There wasn't just Wycombe, it was the surrounding area.
Yeah, Buckinghamshire.
Well, not quite that big, let's say a 20-mile diameter.
Okay.
All the villages brought their work into Wycombe.
Yes.
So it wasn't just Wycombe, it was the surrounding
area. Okay.
Okay, the bodgers. They didn't have money, they didn't have land. They would go to a landowner and they would say, we would like to coppice, cut off at ground level, 1, normally 2 stands of wood.
Okay.
Now they were called stands because it was standing growing wood.
Yes.
1 stand was a hectare, 1 hectare is 2.5 acres. So 2 stands, 5 acres would keep a bodger going for a year.
Wow.
If he took more than that, he'd be thrown out after the year. Come on, I want to replant the wood. I can't do it with you here. I've given you more time than I should, so off you go.
Okay.
So 2 stands a year was just good.
Yes.
They didn't, there were 2 conditions. 1, don't leave my wood in a mess. You cut a tree down, you can't use it, you cut it up, you burn it, whatever. Don't leave it laying around for me. I'm not here to run around for weeks after you've gone tidying up.
Right.
The main condition, you can't pay me now, you've got no money. So when you sell your first week's work in Wycombe on a Saturday morning, you can pay me.
So it's advance. So all of this was an advance agreement.
They do a week's work and then pay.
Yes.
And then another week and pay. The first week they didn't pay was the last. No second chance. By Monday there would be another bodger jumped into the wood.
I get it.
So whatever they did, they had to pay.
Yes.
The man in the white shirt, that's there to make me smile every day, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this man later. He was Owen Dean, one of the last 3 bodgers working in Buckinghamshire in the 1960s. So we'll come back to him.
Yes.
The white shirt, why does that make me smile? In those days, a man had a best white Sunday shirt. He wore it to church.
Right,
when he got home from church, he took it off,
put it away.
Something else
yes,
on.
That's true.
So he's wearing it in the wood. Why?
Coming from church.
I've got a wood down at Stoke-in-Church, 4 miles from here.
Yes. Yeah, I know that. I know
only
that.
7 acres, but that's enough to keep you busy, believe me.
Yes.
If I went to my wood with a white shirt, I'd give that 10 minutes and it would be black.
Of course.
The last thing you would wear in a wood is a white shirt.
Wow.
He wore it because he knew the photographer was coming. And I can prove that because there is the same thing with his working clothes on.
So it was all for pose.
You got it. And when the cameraman went, he probably went in his hut, took his shirt off,
take off his
working.
Yeah, oh.
So that's why it makes me smile every day.
Wow, wow.
Okay. So he needs to borrow a man from the adjacent wood, another bodger. Will you come and help me for 1 day this week?
Right.
I won't pay you, but when you're ready, I'll come help you. Reciprocal thing.
Right, right, right.
So they use this piece of wood. That you can call whatever you like, rod, stick, measure, gauge, rule, doesn't matter what you call it.
Man in the white.
It's a piece of wood, 18 inches long, 45 centimetres, and that's exactly how long a Windsor chair leg is.
So
it was a measure.
Okay.
It was a measure. They would use it to mark the bark and cut all their logs that long.
Oh, so that was the measurement?
Yeah.
Wow.
With no tape measures or steel rules, nothing.
Yeah, back in the days.
Just that piece of wood.
Wow.
So they cut all their logs that long.
Yes.
Why would you cut logs longer? Because at some point you're going to cut it again. You're doing work twice.
Yes.
So they didn't cut once, job done.
That's it.
So
smart, yeah.
Lots and lots of logs this length.
Yes.
Enough to keep him going for a week.
Yes.
He would then go back to his own wood. He's got a living to earn.
Right.
And he would leave the bodger to split the wood. He's using an axe. They didn't normally have an axe. They had a froe. F-R-O-E. A froe has got the blade underneath. You put it on the log. You hit it with this wooden mallet, beetle. It's called a beetle with metal rings.
Yes.
You hit it. And because it's got an upright handle, you can move it back and forth to cleave or split the wood.
Wow.
So that's called a froe, easier to use than an axe.
Wow.
So here,
would they make that themselves or would they buy from?
Buy it. Yeah,
okay.
They bought them in.
Okay.
This should be 18 inches long. I didn't want to carry a log around.
It's too heavy.
So they split it in half
Yes.
again and again. Each one of those triangular sections is called a billet.
Billet, yeah.
So here is a billet. The blue part is what you want to make your leg or stretch.
I was going to ask
but
that.
You have to get rid of that waste wood.
Yes.
So they used an axe here called a side axe. And the side axe was for shaping the wood.
Right.
That's the right-handed side axe. If you're left-handed, you would have to grind metal off the other side to use it.
Okay.
Okay, so you shape this. Here is a finished stretcher. And here, that's the billet. This is the finished stretcher.
Right.
This is the in-between you've just chopped. You can see the shape coming.
Wow.
You've got rid of the waste wood.
Hold on one second, yeah? So, just not to get confused. So, in that time, yeah, they didn't have this fancy machine.
Yes, they did. We'll come to that.
Oh, okay.
If you put this straight onto a lathe,
yes.
Even though it's wet wood, everything's green, wet wood, you only cut on a pole lathe, it reciprocates backwards, forwards. You only cut when it comes towards you. It would take too much time to get rid of that wood.
Awesome.
Quicker to use the axe,
trim it down.
chop it.
Okay, I get it.
So
I get it.
You shaped it. It's still got bark and X-marks.
Yes.
We'll show you what they did next. But we've got rid of a lot of the waste wood.
Yes.
So
time go quicker, yeah.
This is a bodger's hut. The bodger built. The first thing he did was build a shelter when he got the wood. And that shelter wasn't for sleeping in. No bodger ever slept in the wood. What was in there was a pole lathe, like the one on the left, and there's the pole going in.
Okay.
So, back to this for the moment, forget the lathe.
Yes.
He sat in the doorway on a shave horse, which I'll show you, the one on the floor there.
Yes.
He sat there and he put this, like I will explain, and he used this draw knife or shave knife here to get rid of these marks. So he kept pulling it towards him, turning it
So it's
around.
continue with the work with hand, just hand, no machine at the
Using
time.
that
Wow.
shave knife or draw knife. So he would do it by hand.
Yes. Oops.
One, why did he sit in the doorway?
Yes.
Easy. Light, because that's the only light source. If he sat in the back, it's quite dark. Light, watch the birds, have a smoke.
Mm-hmm.
If it rained, pull back inside, still get the light
Shelter.
through the door,
Yes.
and stay dry.
Mm-hmm.
When he finished shaving his first one,
Wow.
why would you stand up, walk in the back, stack it, come back, sit down, pick up the next billet, get your draw knife? You've just wasted a lot of time.
Uh-huh.
So he'd shave it, throw it over his shoulder
Right.
into the back of the hut.
To start.
Next one, throw it over his shoulder, stay sitting down.
And he have how much days before he should complete and make the money to pay? How much days is that he have to work?
To make,
To finish a work
yeah,
and then to, because remember you say he have to pay every week, yeah?
he gets paid every week.
Right.
So
So you have 4 days, 5 days to finish
yeah,
his job.
what I haven't explained,
Okay.
I will explain the process.
Okay,
but
okay.
Each one of these men only made the parts we're talking about. The factory that bought the parts on a Saturday put the chairs together to
okay.
make a chair and sold them. So he never made a chair in his life.
Okay.
All he did was make the
I
parts. and
get it
sold
what you're
them on.
saying now. So
it was
it's a domino effect. So everybody will be
the
doing.
next guy made all the other parts. The next guy put the parts together to
Maybe I go ahead of the what you are saying. Okay, no problem. Wow.
So, back to the man, keep standing up.
Yeah, back and
He threw
forth.
him over his shoulder.
Yeah.
When he ran out of billets, he had to stand up then. So he walked off to where he chopped them, came back with a big armful, put them down
And he
next to
continued.
his shave holes, and that's a good time. Go in the hut, tidy up all the bits he'd thrown over his shoulder, stack them. So you're only doing it now and again, not after every one.
Right. Makes
To
sense.
save time.
Wow.
Okay, when you borrowed that man each week, you're making a clearing around your hut, bigger and bigger and bigger, because you're cutting trees
Yes,
down.
yes.
So you cut a tree, clean the limbs, branches off, drag the trunk back, go cut another, clean it up, drag it back, another, drag it back.
Wow.
Maybe 4 or 5, and you think, I'm not walking miles, but I'm wasting so much time. I've only got this man for the day.
Yes.
So you've come up with a good idea. On your way home, you call in the pub in the evening. You see 3 of your friends in the pub. Will you help me move my hut in the morning? You buy them a beer or 2 so that they arrive. The next morning, they're sitting in the wood waiting for you,
Wow.
bright and early. So you give them all a piece of beech that long, about that big. They put it under their arm. It's the roof you want, so you each stand on the corner of the roof. You shout. They lift their corner of the roof onto their shoulder, and the 4 of them march that roof way into the woods, away from all the area you've cleared.
Oh.
So when you get into the woods with trees all around you again, you say, here will do. They get that bit of wood they were carrying, stand it up on the corner, and the roof is then held up by 4 corner posts. They go.
So they keep moving.
Yeah, but when you find a nice spot,
Yeah.
you say now, and they put their corner post on, so your roof is held up on 4 corner posts in the wood, a long way away from where it was before.
Wow.
Because you've got trees all around.
So you don't have to
again.
be walking back and forth with this
Well,
heap of.
they go.
Yeah.
Thank you for the beer. See you next time. Gone. So you then have to go between your new hut position to where it was before.
Okay.
You move your pole lathe. I said the only thing in there was a pole lathe. There's the pole going in. Like
Yeah, that one.
there.
Yep.
So you move your pole lathe, you move your tools, your equipment, all the wood you cut, anything you finished, everything has to be moved from your old place to your new.
Wow.
If it rains, go jump under the roof, stay dry, careful, winter, you can be dry from there up. The rest can be soaked because
yeah.
you're under the roof. When the wind blows the rain through, you
Yes,
can be
no
soaked
good.
and you're under the roof.
Right.
The quicker you sit on that shave horse, the quicker you make shavings, the quicker you can fill the sides and the backing.
Oh,
and they're not structural.
okay.
They're not holding the roof. The corner posts are. All they're doing is keeping the weather out.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that's the bodger. He made the round parts of a chair.
Right.
These gentlemen here are called benchmen, and they made all the parts that the bodger didn't make. So the benchmen, there weren't just 5, there were hundreds and hundreds, but those 5 I'm showing you, they all had a piece of wood here on their chest.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to explain to you next. So
come over here.
You can have another seat.
Guys, I'm moving. Nice chair, everything.
I'll be a second.
Yep.
Right. So these were called benchmen.
Right.
As I said, if you saw a man with that piece of wood here, you knew what he did for a living.
He's a benchman.
He made the parts to the chair that the bodger didn't make.
Wow.
Right, so let's explain why.
At that time, do they get good pay? Who would get the best pay out of all of this different
Who got the best
pay? The benchman, or
he was in the dry and he was out in the weather. That's the only good thing.
Okay.
But they both earned about the same money.
same? Okay.
And not a lot, 19 shillings and sixpence a week in those days, which would call it a pound.
A pound,
for 6 days work, hard work.
Ooh.
So, before I tell you about that bib here, I'm going to explain this chair. There are many Windsor chairs. So there isn't just one type, there are many, and I will explain.
Yes.
This one is called a double bow. When you bend a piece of wood, it's called a bow.
Okay.
It's a double bow because it's got one big bow, a second big bow. It's got a third bow, a fourth bow. The one underneath,
A lot.
I always tell people the Americans call that a cow horn. We call it a crinoline bow.
Okay.
Crinoline.
It look more like a cow horn.
5 bows on this chair, and 5 very good reasons why they couldn't make many. If they could make a lot, they would have got 6-7 times more money for this than a basic chair.
Wow.
But they couldn't get many of the parts. So I'll come back to that. For the moment, I want you to look at the front legs. They're splayed, like so.
Yes.
They're not upright, they're splayed.
Right.
So, I've turned this seat upside down. If I asked you to drill a hole, you wouldn't drill it upright. We've just agreed it would be at an angle.
Right.
This is the wrong brace it will do to show you. You put it upright because no jigs, no patterns. You do it by eye.
Okay.
By putting it upright, you know that you've just got to move it a set distance. And when you do the other side, upright, set distance. They got used to tipping it that way or that way. So you wouldn't do one like that and one like that. You just knew that you had to tip it that distance each way.
Yes.
So upright, set the angle, hand on the top, start to drill, and this would move all over the bench.
Wow.
Woodworking benches today and then have a simple piece of wood through the bench that's adjustable up or down. And that piece of wood, if you imagine this is the bench stop, it stops your work sliding.
Right,
it
right.
can't move.
Right.
It can rotate.
Yes, but it can't go forward.
slide.
Yeah.
If you want to stop it rotating, G-clamp on your bench here, G-clamp there, it will never go anywhere.
No.
But it costs time. Money to buy the clamps, time, put one on, put another on, drill a hole, undo the clamps. You're wasting time, you should be working. So this is why one of the young benchmen thought up the idea of that piece of wood. They wore it here. You've already guessed what's coming. Instead of putting your hand on top of there, that bit fits into there.
Oh.
So upright, set the angle, lean on it, turn with one hand. You've got a hand free to hold the wood with. Ingenious. You don't need a bench stop. You don't need.
That's an engineer right there. He engineered something simple and easy.
So here's our friend. All doing exactly what I told you. All his weight, turning, holding the seat still with the other hand. So, just like I showed you.
That is
right,
cool.
We'll come back to that board in a minute.
Yes.
I have to tell you about the history of Windsor chairs.
Yes.
I've got research going back to 1724.
Wow.
Now I've said that, let's forget that until 1805, because the only chairs that were made were called Japan chairs. They were black painted, imported for gentry. Working people had no chairs. So in 1805 is the first mention of Windsor chairs. There was a man in Wycombe called Treacher. Treacher married a Wycombe girl. His Samuel Treacher. Let's talk about her. If you got Marlow Hill to the M40 roundabout, look over and you'll see a big black boarded farm. Today, it's there.
It's there, okay.
It was there in 1805.
Wow.
She owned that farm. Her parents had died. She decided to keep it because it was her parents' life. She knew nothing about farming. She just thought after all their work, it would be nice
to keep it going.
She paid 12 men that had worked for her father. No idea what they did from one Saturday to the next. She just paid them, relied upon them to bring an income in and to do what needed doing. So she just trusted them to do whatever.
Yeah.
Treacher got married, no honeymoon. He was out in the field the next morning waiting because he'd heard some bad things about those lads.
Okay.
And he waited and waited. Mid-morning, 2 of them arrived. Where's the others? Go and get them, tell them, I want them here. I've been here since 6 o'clock this morning.
Nobody's at work.
Where have you been? And I'm told you have 2 hours for lunch every day. So if you don't start work till lunchtime and you have 2 hours for lunch, you can't be doing much. Maybe I should go and get somebody who I can rely upon. So they didn't start off well. And all summer he kept asking questions. He knew nothing about farming, like his wife. But he wanted to learn, why are we doing this? Why didn't you work that field? You jumped the field. What are we doing next? And winter came. In 1805, if you Google this, you will see that was cold. Nothing like we have now.
Oh, the coldest
In 1805, you couldn't work outside for more than half an hour.
Wow.
For 2 months of the year. Severe winter, make that 3 months. So, Treacher said, it's getting cold. What do we do now? And they said, we sit in the barn. What? Well, we can't work too cold. No, come with me. He took them out in the field, pull those root crops up. We can't. Show me. So they showed him. Couldn't. Ground was frozen. Solid. So he said, get some tools. They came back, tried to dig with a fork bounced. Solid ground.
Nice. Wow.
So he said, okay, you sit in the barn, I'll think of what we're going to do. I'm not paying you to do nothing for 2 or 3 months. He didn't sleep at all that night, worried, I'm not paying men to do nothing, whatever next. And in the morning, he marched them all down into Wycombe to what we call poorhouses, or what were called poorhouses. We didn't like that name, so we changed the name to workhouses.
Workhouse, okay.
A workhouse was where those men had come from originally, years back. Treacher said, I can't use these. They were yours anyway once, so have them back. And he dumped them and went off, pleased with himself. He regretted that because summer came, spring.
No work.
And he went back and said, right, I'll have my men back. And they said, you won't, they're gone. What do you mean? I've got a farm and I want this. And they said, well, you should have thought about that before you brought them here. A farmer came, had a chat, found out they knew a lot about farming, so he took them all. Well, what can I do then? And they said, wait. And they came back with a big crowd of guys. We call these stragglers. They've come in over the weeks and months looking for work, food, shelter. They know nothing about farming, so you'll have to teach them. That's
what to
why
do.
you should take them all.
Yes.
So off he went with all these guys, not happy. He'd already worked out what a bad move it was getting rid of the experienced ones. I defend those men. It wasn't their fault. They'd never used tools. You know that if you pick up a saw, plane, chisel, brace and bit, drill, whatever, you don't use it like you've done it all your life. It takes weeks, months, and often years to get used to it. So that's why I defend them. Not their fault. What they made, you can't say was rubbish. You can't say that. It wasn't good. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So they needed practice using tools, and they didn't get practice because no sooner they started making chairs, they were back out in the fields again. What I didn't tell you was that he brought a man to Wycombe called Wigginton to show them how to make chairs, because they were sitting in a barn doing nothing.
And he wanted them to do something.
Yeah. So Wigginton showed them, and they weren't good at using tools. All they'd done is watched a man build a chair. That doesn't make them a chair maker.
No.
So 8 years went by, and somebody went to see Treacher. We need chairs. Okay, we need a lot of chairs. Yeah, we can do it. Are you sure? Yeah. So they went to their cart, came back, 600 of those, please. Treacher nearly fell over. He'd never seen 600 chairs in his whole life.
So now you have a problem.
So, all the time they were talking, he just sat there looking, didn't say anything. Just, why did I tell them we could make those? We can't make one, let alone 600.
600 chairs.
And they said, we're off. We'll be back to Wycombe in 3 or 4 weeks. We'll come and see how you're getting on. You'll have made a few by then. And perhaps you can tell us how long for the whole order.
Wow.
And off they went. Another sleepless night. Why? I'm in trouble now. We can't make those chairs. What am I going to do? And by the morning he'd come up with another clever idea. He came down into Wycombe and he saw the people that made the big wooden carts. Remember, the only transport, horse and cart.
Yes, at that time.
So every town had a cartwright that made the carts. If you had a cartwright here in this building, you can bet within 1 or 2 buildings that way or 1 or 2 buildings that way, you would have a wheelwright that made the wheels.
Right.
They needed to be next to each other because one needed the other.
Yes.
So Treacher said, I'm in trouble. My men can make the simple parts to those chairs I've got an order for. Can you make the rest? They agreed, worked out a price, and between them they made all 600 chair parts.
Wow.
But they made thousands and thousands and thousands more afterwards. But forget that, stick to the 600, that first order in Wycombe. What happened was the lad who made the big back wheel, the wheelwright, was only a young lad. Let's say young, 20, 25. He was given the job of making this part of the chair. We call it the splat, S-P-L-A-T.
Oh, that one right there, yes.
Now, it wasn't a fancy one like that. That first order was just a dead straight piece of wood, rectangular, in the back of the chair. And he wasn't happy. He stood on his bench, sawing bits of wood. Is this why I've done all those years training to make wheels? I should be making beautiful wheels, and they've got me cutting up bits of scrap wood for some chair maker. Not happy. Day by day was getting more annoyed.
Yes.
Wound up.
I can see the wheel in there.
Yeah, well, that's it. You've got it. By Friday, but they were just, at a time, they were just a straight bit of wood.
Yeah, he get annoyed.
By Friday, he thought, right, I'll show him. I bet you I'm back on making wheels on Monday, because he picked up every splat and cut a wheel in the back.
Yes.
Just for devilment.
Yes, and that become a hit.
When Treacher saw them, he said, oh, I like that. That's a good idea. Make some more. In fact, make double what you've given me. So on Monday, the wheelwright came in thinking he was back on wheels.
Yes.
And they said, bad news, he liked those, can you make twice as
Wow.
many? So it backfired on him.
Yes.
Move on. Many of the chair makers in Wycombe were saying to Treacher, knocking on the door, is it right if we use your emblem, that wheel?
Yeah, they like
Because we could have sold loads yesterday, you could have sold 10 chairs. People
Wow.
like that. And he said, yeah, you're local. Another one said, well, I'm at Piddington. He's like, yeah, I've seen you in Wycombe, you carry on, you're local.
Yeah.
So they all started to use that emblem.
Because that's a brand right there now.
Yeah.
And then he's giving them out free to allow them to do it.
Well, you see, yeah, but he just let them do it.
Yes.
Today, in this day and age, you'd think, well, I can make money out of this. And when someone says, can I use your wheel? You say, yeah, how much are you going to pay me like a franchise? But in those days,
No, they didn't think of that.
different people,
Yeah.
all they wanted to do was make a chair, sell a chair, and get rid of a chair.
That's it.
So the people making the parts, that's what they did.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't worry about getting a lot more money by putting bits together and making a chair. They just
Right.
stuck to their job.
Right.
So they tried to patent that emblem to stop people copying it. And to take a patent out they were told it would take 2 years, probably no quicker today. And it would cost more than they could collectively afford.
Okay.
So they gave up with the patent. They registered that emblem as the Wycombe wheelback. A registration was cheap, very cheap, and it took a couple of weeks.
Right.
If you go to Australia, New Zealand, Africa, Asia, the Americas, Europe, here up to the pole, wherever you went in the world, when you see that emblem, you know it's a Wycombe chair.
Yeah, it's registered.
So, it was very popular. So now I'm going to show you how protective they were. If you had a factory in the Midlands, away from Wycombe, you've worked in the factory all your life, your parents before you. You're not rich, but you've made a reasonable living.
Yes.
So, you have a problem. You never had a time when you didn't sell chairs. Now you have. You have not sold a chair for 3-4 weeks, not one. So you call your man in out the workshop. We're in trouble. You know I'm buying the building. We've got that hole in the roof. Every year we say we'll repair it. There's 5 of you in that workshop. I've paid you for the last 3-4 weeks. We haven't had any sales. But I don't think I've got enough to pay you this week.
Right.
So how come those boys at Wycombe are making thousands of chairs every day and selling them? I think our chairs are better than theirs, but theirs are selling, ours aren't. Is it that wheel they use? And he says, whoa, you can't use that, that's registered. He said, well look, let's not argue, go make some chairs, because I think that's why theirs
Key.
sell.
Yeah.
So, if you don't, we're all out of a job by next week. So they get the message, a batch of chairs come out, and they sell the same day. So they make another batch, and they sell, and another batch. So, all good until 2-3 weeks, the word's got out, you get a knock on your factory door, 2 big lads from Wycombe, oi you, that's ours, you can't use that,
yeah.
carry on,
Yeah.
we'll be back, you'll be sorry. They didn't threaten you, they just said stop using that.
Yes.
So you call your man in out the workshop, your foreman, right, we're in trouble because we've been taking people on to cope with all these orders. We've got 5-6 months worth of orders.
Wow.
But they're all for wheelbacks. They've just told us we can't use the wheel. So we've now got 12 of you, not 5, because we're taking people on. So we're worse off than we ever were. And the more you talk about it, the more you realise you've got no choice, carry on. You've just had a thought when you were talking about that 5-6 months worth of orders. If they do come back, which you doubt, you can show them the order book. We had these orders, we've got to honour them.
Back up.
So you've solved the problem. You carry on. taking more people on, more orders coming in, you're happy, you're making money, fine. Couple of weeks go by, you walk to work one morning, you get to the end of the road where your factory is, you get to the corner and you stop in your tracks and you look the other way and you look back, no factory, gone. Wycombe lads have been to see you in the night, burnt your factory to the ground because you didn't heed their warning. So you can't condone that. You can't say, well, yeah, understandable. Wycombe took the law into their own hands because you were using their wheel. It's registered to them. So the only way they can stop you, they told you didn't listen, was burn your factory to the ground. Are you still alright for time? How long you got?
20 more minutes, maybe.
Okay.
This is only the area. You're not going nowhere else. This is the only.
These are all original
that
tools.
You're going to talk about, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're nearly done.
Yeah.
The two boards take the longest because there's lots to tell you.
Yes.
We're nearly done on here, and then it gets quicker.
Yes.
This book, the best book written on chair making.
The history of trade making. High Wycombe.
Don't buy one. If you go,
I can get one free.
If you go to eBay,
yeah,
£50-60. Few pages missing, fine.
Okay.
If you want a good copy, £180-190. It's an investment. It will go up next year, the year after. Still don't buy one. Keep your money. Go to Wycombe Library, borrow one.
Okay.
Read it and take it back. They've got lots. And when you go and ask for it, they say, I bet that was that Robert down the museum.
Don't buy it.
And we have a laugh about it. But
yeah.
Keep sending people around.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But anyway, in there, they named 2 lads that were caught and put in jail for burning factories down.
Oh, wow.
So, I'd like to say that's it. It stopped, but it got worse and worse and worse. And I'll quickly tell you why.
Wow.
If you went to Reading, and when you got back, you said, I've just seen a company using our wheel. What are we going to do? I warned them. We would decide at the time then, we would have said, let's wait and see if they hear what you told them. A few weeks go by, you hear they're still at it, using your emblems. They're doing you out of sales.
Yes.
So on a Friday night, you go into one of the big pubs in the High Street, the Red Lion. Been there since.
I pass it all the time. Red Lion, yes.
And you call the landlord 2 beers. He comes over and gives you both a beer each. We're not stopping. We've got a little job to do because it's Friday today. Okay. But you've seen us. Well, of course I've seen you. You're here. No, if anybody asks, we were here all night
drinking.
So you drink your beer, bid him good night, off you go to Reading, burn the factory to the ground.
So that was the law in their hand. They didn't get the law involved.
No, they took the law into their own hands
because
even though 2 were jailed, the only way they could stop everybody from copying, whenever a chair firm saw that wheel, money.
Yes, they're not stopping.
So they took the law into their own hands and burnt the factory down. So they burn the factory, come to work on Monday, they got their head down, working. People come looking. Where were you Friday night? Red Lion. Where were you? Red Lion. And they come to see the landlord and he says, leave them alone. It wasn't them. They sat by the fire playing cards all night. You go and accuse somebody else. So Wycombe always had an alibi.
Yes.
It got totally out of hand.
Yeah, it would.
Every chair maker, like I said, if you said, can you make me some chairs? Keep your voice down. How many do you want? 50. Bring some cash. End of the month, your chairs will be here. So when you went and picked them up, you said, I need another 50. So he does those. But the next time you go, you say, I want some more of those chairs. What are you talking about? You made me some. No, we didn't.
Oh, okay.
If you want Wycombe wheelbacks, you go to Wycombe. We've lost 3 factories in this town in the last 6 months.
So they're not going to do
I can't afford to lose my factory. We've never made with chairs with Wycombe wheels, and we never will. So they all backed off. They didn't want to lose their livelihood.
Yes.
So during that year to 18 months before they all stopped using that wheel, the Bodgers in Wycombe didn't have a Friday. We had a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday was renamed Burns Night. Nothing to do with the Scottish Burns Night. It was called Burns Night because that's the night the lads went out and set fire to the factories.
Wow.
After all the chair makers said, no, there's too many fires, because there were
they're losing
many hundreds all over the country.
Yes.
We got our Friday back because everyone stopped using the wheel, so Wycombe
went
back to having a Friday again. Right, we move on. What I haven't told you, 2 minutes, who made those flats in the factory, the men and the women, any job they didn't want to do, give it to the boys. It's a boys' job.
Okay.
You may or may not know that an 11-year-old boy, not just Wycombe, the whole country, was sent to work.
Ooh.
No school. The gentry, people with money, sent their children to school because they paid for their education. Anybody else, you took that child to school to work. Ooh. Because it was recognised, accepted that an 11-year-old boy was capable of helping you, the parent, feed the family.
Okay.
The saying at the time was help put bread on the table.
Wow.
So, Monday morning, you've agreed shilling 1 and 6pence a week for 6 days. The boy went to work, he, the chairman, you and you over here, boys, make me these.
So they
that
did
was the
one.
most hated job in the whole factory. Nobody wanted to do it. Boring, tedious, time consuming.
Yes.
So the boys, they were given a template, they marked the wheel, marked the outside from another profile, drilled holes where every cutout was going to be.
Down to details,
To take the blade out of a bow saw, you push that up, the string unwinds, the tension's gone off the arms because it's lost its, take the blade out, put it in a hole, saw back on, tighten the string, put it down to lock it, cut your first hole.
So that's the bow saw, yeah?
Yeah, but the problem is, now you've cut the hole, your blade is in there, and you've got to repeat backwards what I've just done to take the saw off. You've got to undo the string, put it in the next hole, put the saw back on, tighten it, and then cut the next one. If you think that sounds boring, try that for 6 years, because that's what they did. 6 years.
Wow.
The only thing they did besides making that was errands. Go to West Wycombe to the caners and bring a basket back. It doesn't take 2 of you. You go clean the company toilets and clean them, or empty them and clean them properly this week. You stop laughing, sweep the floor, clean this place up.
Wow.
So that's all the boys did, splats and jobs.
Yes.
When they were 17 years old, remember they started at 11. They were called in the office, they were given a breast bib, they were given a bench, tools, and they were a man in their own right.
Right.
So, no more of these, no more errands.
Pass to the next generation.
Yeah, well, precisely. They started to make bits of chairs they'd never seen before.
Ooh.
And when, let alone make, they'd never seen them. And they were happy, couldn't get the smile off their face.
Wow.
And when they finished the first order to go out on the delivery cars, one of them said, "We haven't got any splats." I should think not. I never want to see another in my life.
Okay, so
they
they take it out.
For somebody to give the job to, in the door, 2 lads, 11, with their parents. If you're looking for a job over here, make me some of those, and that whole 6-year cycle.
So continue. Wow. Wow.
Right, this is a Windsor chair seat from where you're sitting. It looks like a saddle.
Yes.
We've called that for over 200 years a saddle seat. The bodgers in the wood would go see the sawyers that cut the big trees. They would say, we need 100, 200 seats. So they would pull a board, cut it, pull a board, cut it.
Wow.
So they would end up with 200 squares of wood. They weren't shaped like this with holes. All that was done later.
Yeah.
Just a square of wood. And they would use this, the adze, A, B, Z, E. So I have 4 of these, 2 down my woodland and these 2.
Yeah.
Razor sharp, very efficient. They would stand on their first block of wood and they would chop.
Chim
and they
away.
would turn round and chop and chop and chop.
Wow.
To make that saddle shape. It says in the book I showed you that a bodger would cut 24 seats before breakfast.
24.
24.
Wow.
2 dozen. That spurred them on when it got to 18, 20, a few more, and I can have breakfast. So, very efficient tool. We had a man in Wycombe called Billy.
What was the shoes wear for them at that time? What do they, because...
I'm going to explain that now. We had a man in Wycombe called Billy.
Yes.
Billy Neville. Not many people knew his surname was Neville. He was just called Billy. We get lots of Australians. They worked in the industry. They went off to Australia. And when they got back, when they come here, they want to know what their relatives did.
Okay.
They don't know, they've heard of Billy, but they don't know he's Billy Neville. Billy Neville used one of these his whole life. My question, remember Treacher, the ground was too cold outside to work for 2-3 months. My question, how do you do what I just showed you in the winter when your hands are so frozen you can't grip?
Right.
Now, you'll say you can't work. Sit by the fire, good. Come to work tomorrow, sit by the fire. Saturday, not so good. You get paid Saturday. If you've made nothing all week, you sat by the fire, you're not going to get any money because you've got nothing to sell.
To show, yeah.
So, back to my question, this is how they tried. They watch my fingers.
Yes.
They're so cold, they can't bend their fingers, so they pick this up in their wrist. And because it's heavy and they can't grip, it fell to the ground. So pick it up and it fell. So you're not going to earn anything.
No.
They quickly found a way of adapting what I just showed you. They need money to feed their family.
Right, so they have to come up with something.
So let's do it again, but this time pick it up in your wrist, put your arm on your leg, look at my fingers, holding nothing, but this is how they chopped.
Wow.
So forget 24 seats before breakfast. They were lucky to do 24 in a day, but by the weekend they
have
got
something
enough to earn some money, not as much as they should, but at least their family didn't starve.
Wow.
So it was a hard life. And to finish that, here is the poem they wrote about Billy, the bad news, the weird or the poem of Billy No Toes. Oh dear. So, your question.
Yes, what shoes they wear?
If I use this and I hit my toe, not a problem, because you wear toe protectors. In those days, they didn't have it. They had wet leather boots.
Wow.
They were leather, and when it got wet, you might as well have a paper bag on your foot, because that's going to go right through it.
Wow.
So many of them damaged themselves, injured themselves. It was a hard life.
Yes.
And there we are. So that's how they cut the seats.
Wow.
We're done on here. I just quickly tell you, and we move on. This horse and cart was how they delivered all the chairs from the factories. The railway came to Wycombe 1854. They spent 9 years building it. In 1845, 54, it was finished. This was going to the station. He was going to lead the horse. Those chairs couldn't be there if he was going to drive it, because he'd sit on the buckboard to hold the reins.
So he stuck it up.
Because he was going to lead it, bonus time, put some chairs where you would normally be sitting.
Right.
So there's the giveaway. That's going to the station. It all went wrong. Great Western Railway built the station, built the lane, convinced all the chair makers to
bring it there,
use them, sign a contract, pay me some
so
money.
they get money from
we
it.
would deliver a fraction of the cost that you've been paying, because we're cheap, we are the experts. They all signed up and it went wrong. The insurers wanted the railway to make sure that everything was wrapped in straw.
Oh,
so they had to
okay.
buy straw from the farmers.
More money is out.
Wycombe weren't happy. You never told us about this,
Mm-hmm.
but they were saving a lot of money, so they bit their lip, paid people to wrap the chairs,
Mm-hmm.
and when it rained, the straw got wet. When it froze, that just ripped those chairs to pieces as the ice stuck the straw.
Wow.
So it went wrong. You had a letter arrive from wherever your chairs were. Your chairs arrived last week. We've unwrapped them. They've turned green. They're broken, buckled. We can't sell them.
Losing a lot of
and we're
money.
not going to pay you for them. Would you come and pick your chairs up by the end of the month, because we need room in our factory.
Wow.
So why would you go to Leeds, Liverpool, pick them up, bring them all the way here and say, yeah, they're right, let's burn them? We wrote back and said, could you burn the chairs? Because not worth
Made no
us coming
sense,
to pick them
yeah.
up. We sued Great Western Railway. It took 2.25 years to get our money back.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of it, most of it. And in the meantime, they all went to the banks, borrowed money for new carts, new horses, drivers, mates, and we went back to the old-fashioned way until 1904.
Wow.
1904, W.M. King, one of the factories in Wycombe, bought a steam engine. There's a trailer behind full of chairs with a cover. Attached to the back was another trailer full of chairs with a cover.
Mm-hmm.
That engine went to London and came back here in 14 hours and started a riot. Do you know why? Because you, as a driver, and your mate, for 20 years, say, had been going to London, and you were allowed 2 days and a night by the union.
Okay.
That did it in 14 hours. It was a jolly. When you got to London, you didn't go and unload your chairs. You tied it up outside the pub. In you went. You came out in the evening, and you slept on the ground.
Yes.
Under the cart, a bigger cart than that with two horses. You slept underneath on the cobblestones. And
all history here, guys. All history.
Off to the factory, and you unloaded your chairs.
Wow.
And a man counted as you unloaded them. And when you finished, he signed your receipt. You didn't come back to Wycombe, you went back to the pub to finish the other half of your lodging money that you've been buying beer with. And that's why you
So they're having a good time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the following morning, back to Wycombe. Normally you have a day off, day's rest, because you've worked hard drinking beer for
Yes.
This
14
morning
hours.
you get back, and that cart had been to London in 14 hours, and they said, right, if that cart can do it, so can you. Any man who's not back here tonight, don't come to work tomorrow, you're fired. And if you are going, don't stop at the gatehouse for your lodging money, because you're coming back tonight. So no lodging, no beer. So they went on strike.
Right, yes.
It took 2 weeks for the union to say to everyone, back to work. We've got every man 12 hours a day. That's the good news. The bad news is you have to go to London 6 days a week.
Wow.
Right, that took a lot of time to tell you.
Wow.
The bodger had a metal plate. He'd have a piece of beech like this, lay it across the front, put a pin through. Tomorrow, kick it, move the pin back 1 hole. Kick that side, move the pin 1 hole.
Yes.
You start the week with a straight bit of wood, and day by day by day, you bend it around that corner.
To get it to this.
After 1 week, you have a bow. This is the back bow that fits in here, cleaned off and put into the chair.
Wow.
But it took you a week to make it.
Wow.
So when you take your work in on a Saturday morning,
Yes.
they say to you, where's your bows? We'll count all those legs and bits in a minute. And you say, well, I've only got one, 5 on that chair. We've got an order for hundreds. We've had it for months.
And you only have
and
one.
you only give one. What good's that?
Yeah.
So every Saturday, earache, being told off you haven't got enough.
Yes.
But you could only make 1 a week.
Based upon that.
John in the blue shirt, he was a man who bent that very bow, but in the factory, plate identical, former chopped pins identical. He could do 150 in a day compared with one a week. Why? They steamed the wood. And if you steam wood, you can bend it as quick as I show you.
Oh, wow.
If you try that with green wood, it will snap. So steam wood was suddenly, they could make lots and lots of those.
Wow.
Fancy
So every day they learn something new.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so this is a shaving bib. They tied it around their tummy when they sat down. I explained this to you. You put your wood in here,
Yes.
teeth here, you kick, it holds it tight like a vice, and you just keep pulling this towards you, turning it around to get rid of all this axe marks, and
That's so sharp, huh?
yeah.
Wow.
So, that's how they did it.
Yes.
And what they're doing is trying to make this round, because it started off that triangular
Right,
shape.
right.
Couple of things. One, the man in the white shirt, I told you, Owen Dean, died in 1960. He was one of the last three bodgers working in Buckinghamshire. So, that left this man, Silas Saunders. His father owned the Crooked Billet pub for 56 years at Stoke Row. He was bodger number 2, retired in 1961.
Wow.
The man that owned this shave horse here, he was Samuel Rockall, the last bodger in Buckinghamshire, and he retired in 1962. That's it, no more.
Wow.
They had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these, all stacked up, waiting to turn on the lathe on a Thursday and Friday. Friday night, they knew they were selling their work Saturday morning, so they had to count how many have I got. They needed enough to get their 19 shillings and sixpence.
Wow.
They had to make between 140, 150 a day average. And they only turned at the end of the week, but they'd been getting everything ready. So
Yes.
an average of, let's say, 150. If they didn't have enough, they would light the candle on the end of the lathe and work into the night to make enough to sell Saturday morning.
Wow.
So my question, we've got about 10 minutes.
Yes,
right?
yes, 10 minutes is good.
Here
So it's
are a couple of legs. My question, how long from that billet to make that on the lathe with wet wood?
how long you think?
To 2 for a bodgered cut. Any guesses?
Half an hour?
3 minutes.
I'm way over.
Yeah. Amazing.
You
Out
out.
there,
3 minutes.
3. Out there, I can turn you in 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 seconds on a modern lathe, speed control,
Yeah, the
up to 3,500.
Yes.
So if I can't do it quicker than 2 minutes out there, 3 minutes on a primitive lathe is amazing.
Wow.
Believe me.
Wow.
And so it just shows you how good they were.
Yeah, they were definitely.
Just before I show you, if you have an old chair at home, if I said measure the front legs on your chair, your antique chair,
Yes.
if you came back and said they're identical, I have bad news for you. The man who sold you the old chair robbed you because he sold you a new chair. Because when you said your legs are identical, they can't be if it's an old chair.
Okay.
So, you wouldn't pull the legs out of your chair, you'd ruin it. But
Yes.
if you did, you'd be in for a surprise, because when you put them together, you will see that that bit, the cove, is bigger than that. That part, the baluster, is bigger than that.
So it's uneven.
And when you line them up,
Yes.
these two don't. All good. As I said to you, they have got to be different. Remember this, similar enough to be a pair, but different enough to be handmade. So if they're identical, cannot be handmade.
So originally have to be
Has to be different.
different.
To be handmade. So, here's the pole lathe. When you push down on it, it comes towards you, and when you let go, it goes back. So here's the action. This is to dry. Okay, so that's what they did. 3 minutes to make a leg. Quite amazing.
And this is really good. The engineer of this is so simple, but yet 3 minutes time done. Mm-hmm. Wow.
I've got one of those in my woodland. I made two. A pole.
You could make it yourself.
I made two and I've got them down there, and I made a treadle lathe like this. In the book, I told you about Silas Saunders, his photograph there.
Right.
His father had the pub, said to him, "You look at you, you can't even walk. You've got arthritis."
Yes.
In 1955.
Oh, that's a long time.
He said, interesting. He said, so I'm being nosy. He said, get rid of that lathe.
This one?
That one. Mm-hmm. You've got arthritis because he was walking like this.
It's hard for him to work.
Yeah, and he said, I will buy you a treadle lathe. In the book it tells you that he paid £8 for this.
Wow.
Cost me a lot more than that.
Yes.
The problem being, you have to move the crank to the top. Now this spins, rotates, as opposed to that one that just goes backwards.
And that's very quick.
This goes faster.
Yes.
So you can get a better cut off of it because it's going faster.
Wow.
Yeah. But the bad news, you couldn't stop it.
You need a break.
This finishes his, puts on his new wood.
Yes.
Away again.
This one's still spinning.
If you put your hand through, you break your arm.
Yes.
If you try and clamp that wheel with 2 bits of wood, it will smoke and stop.
Yes.
So you actually had to wait for this. Now that's what took the time. If you thought a man could turn 2 legs to every one, other way round, he could turn 2, because this one couldn't stop.
You have to wait till it stops. Wow.
1911, we had electricity. So what we did, it's a shame I'm not out there. 1911, there was a switch on the wall.
Yes.
You did away with this, had an electric motor.
Yes.
You pressed the button, turned your legs, switched it off.
Yes.
Then you could turn 2 to every one. So it was a bit awkward up until then.
Yeah, you remember I told you when I was trying to learn this?
Yeah.
So the guy have those types, the modern one. You just switch on, switch off, switch on, switch off. And that was the modern type. Wow. So much history here. And the question I would ask, based upon these legend chairs, yeah?
Yeah.
What would be the price now?
The price?
Yes, like
what, for the whole chair?
No, just for these type of legend from High Wycombe. I'm not talking new. I'm saying like if you have one of those old one.
Yeah.
An auction or something like that. What would be the price now, compared to what it was selling for then?
It's very difficult to answer. I can tell you roughly the date of Windsor chairs, and I can tell you their costs.
Yes.
I have got a standard chair that I will tell you how much it is.
Yes.
£30, £40 on eBay for a standard Windsor chair.
Yes.
And I can show you some more that £6,000 up to £31,000, depending upon what wood, who made them, what type of Windsor they are. So they vary greatly.
Yes.
You can go on eBay and buy an old one battered and not broken but not good for £10, and you can go to an auction house and pay 32,000 for a really good one. So there is a whole range.
Okay.
And I can tell you roughly what each one is worth. Yeah.
Yes.
This was the bench. All the tools they made themselves, beech from the beech woods, notch it, put a blade in. If you only had one, you would spend the day tap the horns to make the gap bigger. When you want to get a finer cut, I should use a mallet, and then you get a finer cut from it.
Right.
You would waste half an hour during the day or more, keep adjusting this for every job.
Right.
So what they did was made a whole load of them.
Right, with
Keep this
different.
as a coarse one, medium, finer, fine.
Oh,
so
okay.
whatever they wanted to do, they knew which one to go for.
So the workbench would be
These
handy.
were called spoons because it was spoon shaped. Hard work, you've got to push it through the wood because there's no screw on the end
Right.
to pull it through the wood for you.
I remember this. My dad had one before.
But you see, that was long before the bodgers didn't have those. Hence
Yes.
they used the brace and bits.
Just a sharp meat.
Well, I've got no natural water in my woodland. If you worked and you wanted to sharpen your tools, you have 4 or 5 of those draw knives I showed you.
Right.
When one gets blunt, you put it down, use another. You don't sharpen till tomorrow morning. You need water. This is a whetstone made of sand.
Right.
If you try and use it dry, within a week you've got no stone, disintegrated, just sand.
Wow. So you have to
So,
do it.
to sharpen your tools, you need water. Every bodger had 3 or 4 of these. You put it in a tree, you bash it in, bucket underneath, drip of sap water. A little while later, another. By the morning, enough in your bucket, pour in here, sharpen all your tools.
Wow.
So that's why they carried these about.
Wow.
Okay, we have.
And these are some little chairs that you sell here.
Yeah, they're I don't make those, but
Okay.
this is a penny chair because it's round. That chair nearly started World War One.
Penny chair, yeah?
1904, a delegation from High Wycombe went to Parliament and said, "Stop buying that chair. You're doing us out of a job."
Ooh.
So what happened then was that Parliament said, "Go away. We have signed a trade agreement with Sweden. We have to buy 200,000 of those chairs this year. You make them cheaper. We're buying from you." Wycombe made them cheaper by bringing in overtime working. Their workers all, for the first time in their life, could work longer. Production went up. In 1905, the order for 200,000 came to High Wycombe, and the Swedes didn't get another contract.
Wow.
They did eventually, because I think they own IKEA, so they did get back here, but not
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
This is our heritage. This is what we've spoken about all day. There is your 4,700 a day.
Wow.
We made millions all over the world. A very strong, very practical chair. Cheap to buy. Cheap to make compared with the others.
Yes.
And they kept calling them different things to keep people interested. That chair sold as country chair, kitchen chair, cottage chair, rural chair, farmhouse chair, lard back,
Yeah,
stick
different
back,
names.
British chair, English chair. Goes on and on, and they're all one and the same.
Yes.
This chair here, Windsor chair, Bristol Old City Library, in brackets, 1 of 3. So there are only 3 made.
Wow, 1 of 3. Wow. So the
Yeah.
value of this would be
And the
good.
Regional Furniture Association don't know who made it. We asked them. They've narrowed it down to 7 companies in the Thames Valley area capable of making that chair, but they don't know which. So a lovely chair puts the others to shame. This, I told you, was the most popular Windsor chair. They're all Windsors except 3, but that's the most popular. That was the most iconic. I showed you how they bent wood to make a bow.
Yes.
On a Gothic chair, it's 2 bows joined here at the top. So that chair here is the most iconic, the most sought after Windsor chair. This is the most popular.
Wow.
The last thing I haven't told you, the last thing to tell you,
The foot chair.
What makes the Windsor chair? The definition: the seat, is the common part. You drill holes, put the legs in. Drill holes at the top of the seat, put the back in. That is the only definition of a Windsor chair. 1, 2, 3 parts joined together.
Wow, very quick.
Here is a chair which isn't a Windsor.
Yes.
It's called a ladder back because it's like a ladder. It could or could not have been made locally. We've got a window in the council offices with a ladder back chair, the earliest stained glass record of a ladder back chair. So people think it might have been made locally.
Maybe.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It cannot be a Windsor because this is continuous. You haven't got 1, 2, 3 parts joined here.
Right.
You've just got one.
Straight.
Non-Windsor, Windsor, non, and all the rest are Windsor chairs.
Wow.
So there you go.
Wow, it's so much good history here. There was something I'm looking at this. Okay, so is this chair or they displaying chair or something here?
The top
large
one,
chair.
Queen Victoria came in 1877. They built an arch. That's not a husband, he was long dead. That's Albert Edward, the Prince of Wales, who later became King Edward. Now we have photography, lovely arch. The Queen came, Queen Elizabeth II, 62. They had no chairs, so they stacked up some tubular metal plywood chairs. A Millennium came 2000, they didn't have any chairs, so they built it out of scaffolding, put plywood on it, and they borrowed garden seats from the local garden centres. Because they had no chairs, but they kept tradition going. Whenever royalty or somebody famous comes to Wycombe, we build a chair.
Wow. And the only signature this chair would have for Wycombe is just the design. There was nothing else as signature.
Windsor chairs, there were many, but the wheel back is the Wycombe
famous.
Wheel back because we registered it to stop people copying it.
Wow, this is lovely. I really like this. Is this Wycombe also?
It's made in Wycombe, but that one is called a smoker's bow. You have them in pubs, and they were wide, and they'd sit back, have smoke in their pipes. So it's called a smoker's bow. If you put leather on here, there, and on the seat, that smoker's bow then becomes a captain's chair.
Oh,
it's very identical, but just without the leather and the brass studs.
Oh, and just imagine this chair can be very not so good, so you have to have some cushions.
That's why we shape the seats. If it was dead flat,
it's not good.
You sit on them.
There's one chair I haven't seen, and I have to ask you, where is a rocking chair? Because I grew up with...
People buy rocking chairs in their houses and they use them. They were never popular. Wycombe didn't make many because they couldn't sell them. They made these because they sold them. So
rocking chair, was it more popular in the USA? Because my grandma have one.
But I mean here, you can't put them outside. You put them inside
and stuff.
And they took up room. You get elderly people now sit in a rocking chair and they sit there knitting or doing whatever but they never really caught on. And that's why we just churned out Windsor chairs.
Yes, it didn't take off. No. The demands wasn't much.
We made them, but not many. You had companies specialise in them.
Yes.
Because it's like anything. If you specialise, people that come for hundreds of miles because you make rocking chairs.
Yes.
But all the rest left it to them because they made their money out of it.
I remember my grandparents have a rocking chair. That chair was a famous chair in the house because every grandchildren wanted to climb up in it and have a rack. And that last one over there, the big one, that is
the oldest chair in the room.
Yes.
That is what they called a forest chair or garden chair.
Yes.
They were outside, they were painted green.